Week 0 is here for college football, and North Carolina State quarterback C.J. Bailey has elite size and tools to rise up NFL draft boards and climb into the round 1 NFL draft discussion.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm Damian Parson. That's Keith Sanchez, and today's episode is all about Week 0 preview for the college football season and the prospects that you need to watch. We're going to talk about those prospects that need to make a statement in Week 0 and set the tone for the 2026 college football season for the 2027 NFL Draft. The defensive prospects to watch, but we always kick it off with, of course, the guys who make a ton of money. Is usually the offensive prospects, Keith. The offensive prospects to watch, man. And Keith, I'll say this. We got multiple games with TCU versus North Carolina, Maryland versus Virginia, USC faces, I think, San Jose State. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got some pretty solid games on the slate. When you look at offensive prospects to watch, Keith, who are you kicking it off with?
Yeah, I'm going to kick it off with, I think, maybe the most noted name thus far in this Week 0 situation. I'm going to kick it off at the top with C.J. Bailey. This young man is going to be a guy to watch, right? You're talking about a dual threat quarterback, listed at 6'4", I believe he's listed at, over 200 pounds. And in a dual threat in the sense of the fact that ability is that he's dangerous with his legs, but this is also a young man that'll potentially come off a play action with a hard play action fake and then launch it 50, 60 yards down the field. And there's a lot of velocity on that football, DP. We know we watch some quarterbacks throw the football and the ball dies a little bit, right? Like you can tell 50 yards, 40, 50 yards is their max, right? You maxed out their own. With C.J. Bailey, that thing's continue to roll, right? It's still going, and there's still some RPMs on that football as it's floating through the air. So I definitely say watch C.J. Bailey in this matchup, because I look at it from a larger perspective of if he takes the next step in his trajectory, right? Is it good enough for NC State to be a potential wild card to watch out for in the ACC, right? In the ACC, obviously you have Miami, right? But, Florida State has fell off some, well, not some, a lot. And then usually there's some schools that swap out a little bit as far as being in the ACC championship game. So could NC State do enough? Because C.J. Bailey push his team enough? And I think this is the starting point right here for C.J. Bailey.
No, I'm with you, Keith. And this is a young man who's gotten better, every year. He came in 2024, completed 65% of his passes, threw 17 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, threw for over 2,400 yards. In 2025, almost completed 69% of his passes, 3,100 yards passing, 25 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, while also adding in 2024 5 rushing touchdowns. Last year, 6 rushing touchdowns and over 200 yards on the ground. And crazy enough, Keith, they have him listed at 6'6".
Yeah, I was about to fix that. I was about to fix that on my end. I said, you know what? I undersold the young man, right? I went with 6'4". I don't know what quarterback I was thinking, but yes, he's listed at 6'6", 215, 220 pounds.
215, big arm. I remember when we were watching Kingston, KVA, and I was watching him, and that was one of the games I watched, and I saw I saw why people were like really high on this young man, and I've been hearing his name all summer. And just to get eyes on this, going into this, this is a big game. This, to me, Keith, this is a big opportunity for him. He's a junior, right? And we talked about, remember you talked about in the yesterday's show, Jaden Daniels came out of nowhere. We've seen Mendoza's come out. Could he be that quarterback, right? Like you hit the ground running and you had take that momentum all through the season. Now you're in the ACC championship game because NC State is talented. And if you take that in that next step, you talking about 25 touch, that next step is 30 plus touchdowns, right? You know what I mean? Throwing, right? Not even counting another 5 or 6 on the ground and everything. Let's say you're battling with Darian Mensah in Miami in the ACC championship game, and you might, whether or not you make a CFP or not. But the point is, going into, he could be the quarterback that nobody's really talking about. That we fast forward to April. And he's one of those first-round quarterbacks. He's a top 10 pick because when you're 6'6", 215 with a big arm and that mobility, it changes things overall, Keith. I think he could be one of those guys. And Keith, I'm going to tell you something, man. I have a player that I listen. I got into his film. I'm like, okay, yeah, he's going to be a Dames dude, and he plays with TCU. Wide receiver Jordan Dwyer, and I'm gonna put this, Keith, into this. I'm gonna say it like this. He is this year's version of Makai Lemon. I really believe that, and more so, I think he's this year's version of Makai Lemon, who actually plays on the outside, because he plays X and Z and slot for TCU. This is a quick-footed, twitchy route runner, talented guy. He's really good at creating separation, has the speed to win vertically, tracks the ball well, and he's listed up with these 6 foot, 195 or 199. He's got the body control and contact balance to go up and make a play, and he makes plays after he's a threat after the catch with the short area quickness and elusiveness. He's got spatial awareness and everything. And I'm gonna go get to his quarterback in just a second, because they're a package deal in this situation. I think this kid is about to go crazy for TCU. His tape is good. And Josh Hoover is a good quarterback. We broke him down, he's at Indiana now. But they had the big body kid last year, Eric McAllister, and they fed him all a lot. They had I think it was Man Jack, who transferred from Houston. He was playing the slot role, and yeah, those guys are gone now. This wide receiver room should belong to Jordan Dwyer, and they need to get him involved as much as possible. Heck, Bill Belichick probably remembers him putting over 100 yards on that secondary's head last year when they faced him to start the season. We can end up seeing the repeat performance, Keith, against North Carolina. I think it's in Dublin. I think it's overseas. Somewhere. You know what I mean? It's over one of them countries. So it's over there somewhere. But yeah, I think Jordan Dwyer is in for a big game, and honestly a big season.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with this, DP. I'm gonna go with Florida State, right? There's New Mexico at Florida State on Saturday, and I'm gonna go with the big guy that we discussed on here before, and that's Duce Robinson. I think this, if you're one of those guys, you should have one of those games coming out the gate, right? You're fully healthy, you're feeling good, you're amped up, a lot of adrenaline pumping. I'm gonna go ahead and set the bar. Go get over 150 yards, 200 yards, right? Go get you 175 and 2-3 touchdowns, right? And just set the expectation at that point. I think that can be very exciting. And I think this is one of those, games where there's not a lot going on as far as that weekend. Start putting your name on the draft radar very early, to where everybody's like, wait, who is this 6'6" wide receiver at Florida State?
No, I want to see, and I forgot that Florida State I forgot he was there, Loki. I was like, man, I looked at the game, looked at the matchup, and I didn't even think to put him on my list. But I'm glad you called him out, Keith. Yeah, you got to go out here and dominate New Mexico State, and not just dominate them physically, but show us a little bit more improvement with the route running in the short and intermediate. Because we know that you're big, physical, and fast, and you can get down the field and be a contested catch winner and 50-50 ball guy. But you start winning in the short and intermediate, it's gonna remember the conversation we had, Keith. Wide receiver or tight end, how is the NFL going to view you when it's time for you to declare? Or are you going to be another Johnny Wilson where they say, hey, we kind of prefer you to play tight end? You know what I mean? You're like, no, okay, we'll see you on day 3. You don't want to be in that situation. So I want to see him go out here and just show me that you've improved the route running and everything, and just dominate New Mexico State, Keith. I'll throw out one more. In that TCU North Carolina game, I watch a lot of film on that game, especially Jordan Shipp, the wide receiver for North Carolina. Great minds think alike, Keith. They brought in a veteran quarterback from Maryland, Billy Edwards, kind of more of a timing and rhythm, I think, pocket passer with accuracy and everything. He's gonna this is a guy route running, tempo, his ability to win one-on-one. I think that's going to make the transition for Billy Edwards easy. He sets up defenders well and everything. He plays outside. He plays in the slot. But I think from a production standpoint, there's more meat on the bone for him to really produce. And Gio Lopez was more of a dual threat running quarterback last year, because I think when they played TCU, I think they said there's a tweet that said he went 2 hours completing the pass last year.
Yeah,
so,
it was wild.
Yeah. That's a wild stat to have. two actual hours between completed passes is crazy. So having a guy that can actually throw the ball a little bit more in this offense could really unlock Jordan Shipp.
Yep, I agree 100% with DP. You know what we do on this show, man. We always show love to both sides of the football, right? Offensive prospects. We're about to talk some defensive prospects to watch. Yes, we have a couple guys in the holster that we're ready to talk about. Let's do that. Coming up.
Life gets busy, and figuring out what's for dinner every night can quickly feel and become another thing on the to-do list. Home Chef takes the stress out of mealtime by delivering fresh ingredients and easy-to-follow recipes right to your door. Whether you're looking to eat healthier, save money on takeout, or simply spend less time grocery shopping and meal planning, Home Chef makes cooking at home simple, convenient, and enjoyable. And people really love it. Home Chef is rated #1 by users of other meal kits for quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. For me, it's just the convenience of not having to constantly figure out what's for dinner. It takes the daily decision off my plate, and I mean literally. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering our listeners 50% off and free shipping for your first box, plus free dessert for life. Go to homechef.com/LockedOnNFL. That's homechef.com/LockedOnNFL for 50% off your first box and free dessert for life. Homechef.com/LockedOnNFL. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert. There are certain flavors that instantly feel like summer. And for a lot of people, those classic red, white, and blue freezer pops are right at the top of the list. Sweet cherry, lime, blue raspberry. It's one of those nostalgic summer flavors everybody recognizes. Now, 5 Hour Energy is bringing that flavor combination into the new Firework Freeze 5 Hour Energy shot, blending sweet cherry, zesty lime, and electric blue raspberry into one refreshing shot inspired by those iconic summertime freezer pops. Most energy drinks kind of blur together after a while, but this one stands out because it actually feels fun and familiar. The cherry, lime, and blue raspberry combo really tastes like summer. So ignite your taste buds with the flavor of summer. Get a Firework Freeze 5 Hour Energy shot today. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com. Again, for more information, visit 5hourenergy.com. Defensive prospects to watch in week 0 of the 2026 college football season. Keith, I go back to that North Carolina and TCU matchup to start, Keith. Melkarte Abujade. And I hit it first time trying it, and I hit it, Keith. Edge rusher for North Carolina. This guy had 10.5 sacks last year. I believe like 6'4", 6'5", 260, 265. Kind of built like AJ Epinesa was coming out of Iowa, Keith.
Okay.
But high motor, strong, powerful kid that just plays with his hair on fire. His pursuit is just relentless. But also, he flashes some inside counters and finesse moves. I was watching the tape, and I watched him hit like an inside spin. He hit the ice pick maneuver, got to the quarterback. They use him on twist and stunts. And going up against, and I'm going to talk about the quarterback in the Make a Statement segment, for TCU, their new quarterback transferring in. If you're North Carolina, if you're Bill Belichick, you want Melkarte to be the number he sees all 4 quarters. And because he's going up from Harvard to the Big 12. So that's a jump in competition for this young man, the quarterback for TCU, Jaden Craig. And I'll talk about him a little bit later. But for Melkarte, you just want to see him go out there and dominate this offensive line. He's going to have a nice matchup with the left tackle whenever they see each other because he's a big, strong kid from what I saw on tape. But Melkarte can get after it. And again, they use him. He'll rush inside lanes, loop around. He's got a really good he's got a good closing burst to the football. So definitely a guy that's worth watching for everybody, especially teams or fans of teams that need to improve the pass rush. You need that guy that can push the pocket and bring some effort to your defense and energy. He's going to be that guy.
Yep, DP, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with Texas A&M, and I'm going to go with a transfer. I'm going to go with I'm sorry, I said Texas A&M. He transferred from Texas A&M. I'm sorry, to Florida State, and I'm gonna go with Ryland Kennedy. And listen, this is a young man that played a part of a Texas A&M front, right? But we know that Texas A&M has one of the best trenches in all of college football, right? So, to even be a part of the rotation means that you're a decent football player overall. This young man, I believe, listed as 6'4", 250 pounds. Will play the edge rusher position for Florida State, and I'm looking at it from this perspective. DP is that Florida State, it's unfortunate, right? Because they kind of started the transfer portal thing and they did a really decent job of it. And they had, I'll say it, the best team in college football that year before the injury to the quarterback. Was it Travis?
Jordan Travis.
Jordan Travis, yep. But they had Jermaine Johnson, and then I feel like who was another edge rusher they had? It was Jermaine Johnson, and then somebody else that they followed up with. Because they did like a back-to-back situation. Can't remember.
Patrick Payton. They had another guy too. I cannot.
Yeah, it was another high-profile guy. But you know what? Jared Verse.
Yes, Jared Verse. Jesus.
I was like, it was another really good player
too.
Yeah, I was like, it's another really good player that they had. But yeah, and so they did a good job with that. So I'm going to lean more into their recruiting, right, and their evaluations, and for them to go get a young man that was part of a deep defensive rotation at Texas A&M, have him starting playing the edge rusher position. He's a young man that could kind of explode on the scene. Maybe there's a lot of room cleared out for him to get those pass rush reps, for him to get reps overall and be able to get to the quarterback.
No, I like that because that, like you said, they kind of started that trend of just guys jumping in the portal, landing at Florida State, and then you end up first round pick like Jermaine Johnson and Jared Verse, and Braden Fisk was right on the cusp of being the first round pick. He was the top of the second round pick, right?
He gonna get paid, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, 100%. So they've done a good job just overall. So definitely looking forward to seeing him. Keith, you remember Bud Clark from TCU last year?
I do, man. Young man, he just broke his ankle, right?
I believe. Yeah. He's out for the season. He was going to be a big part of that secondary for the Seattle Seahawks too, especially after losing Kobe Bryant, who also was injured for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, he won.
He has a teammate, Keith, Jamel Johnson, safety, and I'm not gonna lie, Keith. Watching him, I was like, okay, this dude can get after it. He's smart, instinctive coverage defender. He's keen at reading his keys and the quarterback's eyes, makes plays on the football. He had 5 interceptions last year. He's versatile with the linemen, so he could play free safety. He's played strong. He'll walk down and play not just the high safety, but the low safety. He's not afraid to mix it up and be a +1 defender in the run game and everything. He's physical. He attacks blocks. I think this is a safety that I feel like people really need to know his name going into this season. Jamel Johnson can play, and this is a young man that, like I said, when I watched this film and I saw him, I was like, man, like this dude is like he had an interception against Jennings from SMU where he's just flat-footed in the middle of the field and he's just kind of walking as he's like reading with the action of what's going on. I was like, this is an interesting technique, Jamel. You don't see guys, he's listed at 6'1", 205 pounds. And then I think Jennings' eyes were somewhere else. He came back to the middle of the field. He tried to point the receiver away from Jamel, and he read it, undercut it, took it. Right? When TCU beat USC, I believe he had an interception in the bowl game where he picked them off and went down and got the ball. So this is a guy that could be on the field for all 3 downs. I want to see him go out there and make plays again, but also I want to see, can you play like I didn't see a ton of nickel play. Can you play some nickel? Because that's what's going to make you that true Swiss Army knife defensive back where we can play you strong at free and at nickel. You start playing man to man. Yeah, now we got a guy that can really change. And from an NFL draft standpoint, we have a defender who can change some things in us because that's what Bud Clark did. Bud Clark went to the Senior Bowl and did that exact same thing of playing high, playing low, and then he played one-on-ones against receivers, and he was locking guys down.
Yeah, like you want, especially being a defensive back, right? And especially of that build, you want defensive coordinators, and I think that's where Bud found a lot of value at, and being able to see him in person, right? Was that he had that hybrid corner, free safety type of build to him, and he had cover skills, but he also was willing to tackle, but he also had like just God-given instincts, right? Around the football. And that's what you've seen at the Senior Bowl, is that this young man was just constantly making plays. So I agree with you. If he's able to do that, then he's able to push his draft stock to the next level. And then also too, it's good to follow up a guy like Bud Clark, right? Like if you're gonna have some of the same measurables, it's always good for your draft stock to be like, you know what, TCU's used to putting out these caliber defensive backs, so you kind of build a I don't know what's the word I'm trying to use. Not a lineage, right? I think that's a little heavy, but a trend. Let's go trend, right? Trend is a good word. You kind of build a trusted trend in the right way. But DP, let's go ahead and do this, man. Let's bring out our make a statement player. Yes, we have a slate of college football games. Which college draft prospect needs to make a statement to elevate their team and elevate their draft stock, honestly? Let's discuss that coming up next.
Matt Derry here from the Locked On Lions podcast. Life insurance is one of those things you don't really think about until you have a reason to. For me, it really hit home when my father passed away over 20 years ago. You start thinking less about yourself and more about the people who depend on you and making sure they're taken care of no matter what. That's why I like Ethos. They make getting life insurance simple. It's 100% online, no doctor visits, no needles, none of that. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in just a few minutes, and even get same-day coverage. And honestly, that's huge because life gets busy. You can get up to $3 million in coverage, and some plans are as low as just $30 a month. It's just one of those things that gives you peace of mind knowing your family is protected. Take 10 minutes to get covered today with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Applications may vary. Rates may vary.
Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you, our everydayers. And we got to talk about our make a statement players heading into week 0, Keith. Who's your make a statement player of week 0?
DP, none other than USC quarterback Jayden Maiava. And I want him to make a statement. Like I forgot which prospect I was discussing. I was talking about Duce Robinson, actually. I was talking about not a lot of games on, right? USC is the biggest football program playing this weekend. And can you go out there and make a heavy statement and say, wait, hold on, who is this USC quarterback? Because not a lot of people are discussing. I think me and you liked them some last year.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like fishing, right? Listen, you fish, you wind up the reel, you cast it out, right? You throw it as far as you can. And the thing drops in the water, right? And then when you don't like things that much, what you do, DP, you pull it on back, right? So we reeled some things in just a little bit after diving all the way into the film, but I think there's still a lot of potential there, and that's what I'm trying to say. So I'm still in on what he can be. The things that he needs to clean up, I would love to see him clean it up. Their opponent, trying to see who they're playing.
Is it San Jose State? I
They
think?
play, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Play San Jose State at home. So there's no reason why you shouldn't have a 4 or 5 touchdown game. Lincoln Riley's your head coach. He's going to throw the football. So I say come out swinging, come out of the gates, and everybody's watching and let them see what type of game you have.
Yeah, no, I think this is a game like I talked about it earlier. Just hit the ground running. Get yourself that good momentum going forward. And for them, he has a new wide receiver. You lose, what was it? Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane. You lose, and you lost Duce Robinson and Zachariah Branch and Hudson. And you lost a lot of receivers over the last 2 seasons. So he got CJ Bailey, one of CJ Bailey's targets from last year, Terrell Anderson, who's been having a good fall camp and everything. Explosive kid, can go up and make plays. This is an opportunity for you, is not just to make a statement for yourself, but also help make a statement for your team in the Big Ten, and then also to welcome everybody to the receiving core you have now. We know that they have some good running backs in the backfield and everything like that for USC, but Jayden Maiava, 6'4", 225, 230. He's got big arm. He can move. Now let's calm the feet. Let's make right decisions. This isn't the game to go big play hunting. Execute the offense, make all the right reads and throws, and just play sound football. We want to see you really hit the ground running in week 0. Keith, for me, I go right to TCU quarterback Jaden Craig, and I watched some of the film of him from Harvard, Keith. this kid can play. Like he's got instincts, football IQ, processing, pre and post snap coverage recognition, and everything. Accuracy is there, size, athleticism. I like his arm talent and the juice that he could put behind the football. And I believe his receivers last year, I saw a stat that said his receivers, crazy enough, because he's listed at 6'3", 225. They say his receiving core had a drop percent of 10% at Harvard last year. So, yeah, like that's a problem. When because you're watching the film, you see him drop some dimes, and guys are literally like, I think he threw one that would have been a walk-in touchdown, went straight to the receiver's hands. I'm like, you can't have that, right? So now you get Jordan Dwyer and some of these other talents at at TCU. Yeah, I'm gonna say this, Keith. This is the dark horse in terms of a guy that can climb, because I believe he's a senior, 6'3", 225. The tools and traits are there. You know he's intelligent. You don't go to Harvard if you're not smart. You know he's intelligent, right? He went to Ivy League school, but now let's say he goes to the Big 12, to TCU, and he lights it up, right? He lights it up. He lights up the Big 12 like it's the tree on Christmas or New Year's in Times Square in New York City. If he goes off this year, Keith, he's going to be a guy that coaches in the NFL are going to want to get their hands on, because I'm telling you, see some of the plays he makes. He gives you that kind of Trey Lancey feel with the power run game too, where they do like QB power draw and stuff like that. Listen, these Big 12 defenses, once he gets comfortable, I think this young man's going to be able to get rolling, and it's going to be a big thing, especially against that Bill Belichick defense. They played a lot of man-to-man. I think the first time they faced him last year, if they do that same thing again and they lose contain to him, this dude can end up taking over that game. And I think he's one of the quarterbacks that everybody has to pay attention to. Jot the name down. Jaden Craig, 6'3", 225, former Harvard quarterback, transferred to TCU. Looking forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do in week 0.
Well, DP, I like that call out, and that could be a very interesting call out, because TCU produces, they'll randomly produce really good football teams, right? And I just seen a stat that talked about their head coach having, I think, the second best start of a TCU head coaching program history, with 36 wins in his first couple seasons. Yeah, so heck of a start, and you can expect that TCU will return to be pretty doggone good in the Big 12. I'm gonna go with this, DP. I'm gonna go with Florida State quarterback Ashton Daniels. This has been not a full journeyman, especially in the transfer portal era. He had definitely been a journeyman in the pre-transfer portal era, but he spent a few years at Stanford, spent last year at Auburn, and then now he's at Florida State. Didn't have any gaudy numbers, right? But we know that Florida State, it's been since the Travis Jones situation that they had a pretty good quarterback, right? They tried the Boston College transfer was that last year before last? Was it Castellanos, I believe? Undersized quarterback. A few years, last year that didn't quite work out. So they take another swing at like a dual threat hybrid young man that can move around, throw the football, things of that nature. So I'm interested to see how this unfolds too, because Florida State needs a quarterback, right? And Florida State is one of the premier programs of college football, right? And if you don't like Florida State, then I get it, boo them and everything else, but they're just one of the programs that are better programs in college football, point blank period. So interested to see what they're able to do, because if they have that, and they've been having a few athletes, right? They've been lacking the quarterback to really make them an 8-9 win team. So could he play well enough to where Florida State is back a factor in the ACC? No,
that's a good call out, because like you said, they had like Thomas Castellanos was more runner than passer and everything. Like, shout out to him. He talked his talk last summer. He walked in, faced Alabama, and they won. That was the highlight of that season.
Yeah, that was.
That was the highlight.
Man, it felt like 5 years ago.
It does. It does feel like a long time ago. So, and he's now he entered the portal. He got like an injunction for that 5th year. He's going to play Texas. He's going to play at Texas Tech and be the backup quarterback. But he was also for the NFL draft. He was doing, I think at his pro day, he was running wide receiver routes. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see him play kind of a dual role of like kind of a Cordell Stewart type of situation, where you see him kind of play that slot receiver role and being a backup, even the Wildcat quarterback behind Will Hammond and everything for Texas Tech. So Ashton Daniels, Jordan Travis is the last successful quarterback they've had and everything. And Florida State is not a team that's ever been devoid of talent. They just have, like, ever since that season, everything just has gone downhill for them and Mike Norvell. And they got to, it just sucks. Like, it's like, man, we don't get into the CFP and then we never get back because our quarterback got hurt.
Gruesome and they had, like I said, I'll say it again, they had the best team in college football that year.
Yeah, they legitimately did. So, hopefully I want to see them kind of get back to those heights. And can you mirror what Miami's been doing in terms of going in the portal, finding a quarterback every year to come in and lead your team, somebody that's not just a true freshman out of high school, unless he's just some otherworldly 5-star. But yeah, like I think Ashton Daniels, he can play. He's an athletic kid, and he can use his legs for sure. So one thing we know about college, it may not translate well in the NFL so much, but in college, you can take over games as a runner, as a quarterback.
Oh yeah, if you have a running quarterback, he can run you to 6-7 wins, right? Like if you have one of those guys, he can run you to 6-7 wins. So and I understand it. And also Mike Norvell, he's had a type at quarterback, right? All those guys that he went after have pretty much been dual threat guys, or he's had a dual threat quarterback on the roster at some point, right? Being able to lean into, and then even when he brought in Gus Malzahn, I don't think Gus is there anymore, I don't believe. But it was because of certain offense they were trying to run in a certain situation they were trying to put themselves in, which I get it. I believe in that situation, right? As far as that type of offense, right? With the hybrid quarterback, the run game, a lot of run action, stuff that's deceitful, from eye discipline to the defenders, but they have to get it right at the quarterback situation, and that's why I chose Mr. Ashton Daniels. So check him out, Florida State quarterback. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at the Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, where you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Guys, enjoy week 0 of college football, where you get to watch these prospects we told you about and everything. Get to learn about some of the smaller school guys, all that stuff on week 0. But on Monday's show, we're money makers, bag fumblers, and of course, Coach K, Coach DP. We return with our game balls as well. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.